Quarterback JT Daniels. We'll go ahead and ask him to make an opening comment about his excitement for the season. Then we'll take your questions. So, JT, going into 2021, what are you looking forward to heading into the season?
In general, I think we've done a great job as a team in how we've approached the off season and how much of importance we put on our core DNA and our team beliefs, and really setting a standard for how we are and who we are. And I think that really is going to help prepare us for a good 2021 season.
All right, thank you, JT. If you have a question, Abby, Christian, and Catherine have microphones. We'll get one to you. We'll start here in the center section. JT right in front of me, about 4 rows back.
Hey, JT, Jordan Hill with Opelika Auburn News. I want to ask about Demetrius Robertson, who's coming over to Auburn. Just what is Auburn getting in being able to add a guy like that?
Great person, a good friend of mine, and a great player. I can't say enough good about D-Rob. Since I've been here, him and I have been really good friends. We've been close. He's a great person, a great player, and we wish. I don't think anybody at Georgia will tell you that they wish anything but the best for him.
Hey, JT, we're going to go back over to the right-hand side, along the right wall.
JT, what would you say is your biggest strength heading into the 2021 season?
In terms of as a player?
Yes.
I'd say my biggest strength is understanding my role of being the primary distributor. That is my job. I mean, I'm okay with the ball in my hands, but James Cook is really good with the ball in his hands. George Pickens is really good with the ball in his hands. We have a lot of players that, when they have the ball and in the right situation, do a lot of really good things. And my strength in what I do is, being able to read the defense and determine the best place for the ball to go. That's going to help us move the chains and score points.
Okay, we'll go back over here in the center section on the left aisle.
JT, Palmer Toms, Dogs 247. Obviously, you went through the transfer process last year. Have you shared any advice to the guys that are going through it this year about kind of getting used to a new situation?
I really haven't had to. I'll be honest, when I transferred in, it wasn't difficult. There was no hazing process or I came in and people were like, oh, who's this guy? People were like, hey, what's up, Devontae Wyatt or Jordan Davis? I think there's just a lot of like-minded people when you transfer to from a high-performing school to another high-performing school. People just, take you in and let's start playing. Let's compete.
Hey, JT, we'll go over to the right again on the near aisle.
Hey, JT, Ryan Curley, Dog Post. How has your connection and the chemistry been going with Eric Gilbert so far this summer?
It just keeps developing. And I've been asked more about Eric than anything else today. I keep saying the same thing. He is, there are players that have great talent and like football, and then there's guys like Eric that have great talent and love football. He takes the time he spends time with coaches, hours with coaches, to learn a brand new system, learn the signals, learn how specifically we run routes and how specifically, as receivers and tight ends, they read defenses. He's a weekend worker. He does a lot of the things that, really impress you regardless of his talent level, and then you add that to the level of talent that he brings, and he's a special player.
JT will go over here on the left-hand side, about midway back.
Yeah, Edgar Thompson with the Orlando Sentinel. Yeah, JT, how difficult was it watching that Florida game and not being able to help? And also, coming from Southern California, do you feel like you fully appreciate the nature of that rivalry?
So watching the game, it's tough because you lose and you lose to a rival. Because nobody wants to lose and nobody wants to lose to a rival. I think it's about as simple and cut and dry as that in terms of that. And then I think you hit a good point. Being from Southern Cal, I had not talked to Coach Smart until I hit the portal. I wasn't recruited by Georgia in high school, so the understanding the true I didn't grow up in Georgia to where I have the true Georgia-Florida rivalry, understood and, ingrained. I think Florida's a great team, and we look at them with a lot of respect. But that's a game that you circle, and there are games that you circle, and that's a big game.
Okay, we'll go back over here to the right-hand side.
Hey, JT, Adam Luckett with Kentucky Sports Radio. You all opened up with Clemson. They've obviously been to the playoff umpteen years in a row, won a couple titles. Just for you all as a team, that's a big game. If you all reach your goals, that's a team you might play again at the end of the year. What is that like, the process in the offseason going into that game? And I know you and DJ Uiagalelei, I think you're both from the same area. Did you ever go against him in high school?
So DJ and I played against each other twice in high school. We went to each other's rivals. I was in my last year, and when he was a sophomore, I was actually his first high school start. I'm almost positive was against me. So DJ and I are good friends. I like DJ a lot. Really good player and a really good person. But in terms of the Clemson game, it's like obviously it's a huge game. It's Clemson, Georgia. It's two really good teams. But I think the biggest thing for us as a team, as much as we get hyped for it, because it's Georgia Clemson, it's a week 1 game. You can win week 1. You could beat Clemson by 100 and then have a terrible rest of the season. You could lose to Clemson by 100, have a great rest of the season. I think it's important to keep in perspective that all it is the week 1 game. As fun as it's going to be competing against a really good team, let week 1 be week 1.
And JT will go right down front here to our left.
Hey there, JT with GwinnettDailyPost.com. I want to expand a little bit on your talk with Eric Gilbert earlier. Just maybe just the year 2 jump overall with your receiving core. You've got a lot of guys who are stepping into some bigger roles. You've got newcomers, obviously. A lot of times we see that year 2 jump with passing games, especially in recent history. Do you see a lot of improvements, a lot of bigger expectations for yourself maybe here in year 2?
You definitely do. It's natural. And, everybody that played against Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl is here, plus, some newcomers. And we've had a whole spring as opposed to last year. There's just been a lot of time and, energy put into building that rapport. So I would, of course, expect it to be, just keep progressing week by week, and year by year to get better and better and better. And, yeah, I agree.
Okay, we'll go over the left section here on the third row.
Hey, JT, I'm Chase Goodbread with NFL.com. A lot of the agents who are helping players get NIL deals feel like the relationship that they're building can help them get that player for NFL representation later on. Do you see it that way, or for you, will that be like a completely separate decision?
I suppose it could be, if you build that a good connection during NIL. I think for, me and really a lot of guys that I've talked to, being that it came out July 1, it makes it pretty difficult to do anything, for it. For me, season mode kicks in June 1 when you come back from your May break, because that May break is the only time you have off for the rest of the year. I won't leave Athens unless it's an away game until after the season. So we're fully in season mode. I wish I could give you more about NIL, but it's just not a huge focus for really a lot of people that I've talked to.
Okay, JT, we'll go in the middle section on the right side. Brandon?
Hey, JT. Brandon Marcello, 24/7 Sports. As a transfer yourself and just the proliferation of the transfer portal, Georgia's been able to really kind of dominate the portal and getting former 5-star guys. How important do you think that is to being able to compete for a championship this season nationally, but also why Georgia for all these guys, you think?
It's really difficult to beat Georgia. When Georgia called me right away, I'm like, it's a top 5 team. It's a great school. It's a great staff. They have great players. What bad can you say about it? What can you say is a reason that I wouldn't go there? And I can't find any. So I think that definitely helps. I think Coach Smart is, he's the hardest worker you'll meet. So, he's any chance that he can get to give us an edge to win games, he's going to do. So I think those two are some reasons I would contribute to Georgia being, prominent in the transfer portal. And then in terms of transferring in general, it's just, kind of the nature of the game as it is now. It's you either choose to play it or you choose to not. But, I think you get guys like Eric, and you just get – there's so many good players like Tyke and Darian Kendrick. You get a lot of great players in the transfer portal that do nothing but come and compete, help, and are great people. I don't see why you wouldn't take advantage of it.
JT will go back down front here, front row.
JD, Jake Nichols with Sports Illustrated Volunteer Country. Can you speak on your time with Bayless Jones at USC and just any connection you've been able to maintain with him through your time at Georgia?
Yeah, I've been trying to see him. I heard he's coming in around the same time I am. Bayless and I are really good friends. So when I was going into my freshman year, so I graduated a whole year early, so I didn't get to do spring. So during that spring period going into USC, I would come up to USC and spend the weekend or spend almost the whole week there to watch spring practice and try and learn, and I stayed with Bayless. So like Bayless and I have been really good friends since I was 17. So he's just a really good guy. Happy to really pumped to see him succeeding, and back in the South where he's from, having a good time.
JT, we'll go over here on the left to the second row. Dennis.
JT, Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports. What sense do you have for the longing at Georgia to win a championship again? And what happened on the trip to California with the receivers? Who put that together? What did you get accomplished? That sort of thing.
In terms of a championship, that's like every team wants to win the national championship every year. But for us, that's not the way that we go about being the best team we can. Is we have goals we want to achieve, but we're focused on the week to week, the day to day, in terms of appreciating what we get to do, and in terms of really building our core DNA and our standard. It's ingrained in us, and it's something that we think is going to be a competitive edge for us. And then in terms of my California trip, I took a bunch of my receivers out to California. A lot of them hadn't been there. That's where I'm from. Wanted to show them around. Just spent 10 days out there. Had a good time.
Okay, we'll go center section, about 3 rows back.
JT, Tony Sakalas, Bama Insider. I know you're friends with, it's a two-parter. I know you're friends with Bryce Young. Just what are you expecting from him this season? And then also, what does it say about the presence of Southern California players, with you, Bryce, and Matt?
Yeah, you got from that area, from like probably a 40, 50-mile area, you got C.J. Stroud at Ohio State, Matt at Ole Miss, Bryce, DJ. I mean, there's a lot of guys from that area. Just a really good couple of classes, I guess. But in terms of Bryce, he's a stud. He's a star player. When I had left Mater Dei and they got Bryce, like I had known Bryce since I was an 8th grader. He was a 7th grader. And I knew back then, like, he's a special player. So I was, honestly, like, when Mater Dei got him, I was really excited. I told Max Preps that he would be the best quarterback in the country by the time he was a junior in high school. Just because, I'd seen him play, and I think he's a really good player. I expect a lot of success for Bryce.
We have time for a few more. We'll start right here in the front.
Anthony Patterson with the Atlanta Voice newspaper. JT, I know I talked to you around last year at the Peach Bowl, and you talked about when you first came to UGA, you were just on campus, had to figure things out. My question is, how has your relationship with offensive coordinator Todd Monken been since you've been at UGA, just in comparison to last season? And how do you embrace the challenge of the experts, quote unquote, ranking y'all one of the top offenses in the SEC and country?
So in terms of Monken, ever since his first call with me, like we see the game the same way, which is hugely important between your offensive coordinator and your quarterback. It's a relationship in the building that's, arguably one of the most important. And I think he's a really good guy. He genuinely cares about the kids. It's hard to knock Monken on anything really. So we've always had a good connection. And then what was the second question? It was relating to.
How do you embrace the challenge of having a top offense in the SEC?
The preseason rankings are what they are. I don't think we have any. We don't have any say over them. It's cool when they say you're good. It's cool when they say you suck. It really doesn't matter either way. You go out and play football. Like we're. I don't know what the SEC or the national what they ranked our offense, honestly. We just focus on like what we can do in this coming week to be ready for next week, and then next week it's what can we do to be ready for camp, and then camp you get through camp, and then it's what can we do to be ready for Clemson, and as soon as the horn blows at Clemson, it's what can we do to be focused for the next week. We're too focused on week to week to really take anything else into too much consideration.
Take one final one over here on the center section, left-hand side.
Hey, JT, Connor Riley, Dog Nation. I'll ask you about another California quarterback. What do you remember of competing against Matt Corral, and how do you sort of stack your game up to his?
I remember the first time I met Matt. I met a lot of these guys when I was like elementary school, middle school. Matt and I did like an FBU camp together. He's a little farther away than Bryce and DJ were in terms of California location. I remember in 7th grade we did a camp, and like I came there and I thought I was gonna be like by far the strongest, like biggest arm. Like I had a good arm when I was a 7th grader, and that dude Matt like rips it. You know, as like a 7th grader, like I thought he was a high schooler. I just always had a cannon, and like we became buddies instantly, and we've been good friends since then. We still talk. Like we met in camp last year. You know, we hang out. You know, when we're around each other. You know, it's just a good relationship I have. Similar with Bryce, similar with DJ.
Thank you for your time, JT.
Thank you.